Welcome back to Primility Primer, our morning reminder of the power of balancing pride and humility as we go about our daily lives. This is episode number 37. I am your host, Jared Morris, and it's Wednesday, so it's time for another episode of Wisdom Wednesday. And today's quote is this: "It is no leader ever became worse by thinking about their teammates more." And this is a quote that I took from a recent article by James Clear, who I've been reading a lot lately, ever since I subscribed to his blog, which you can subscribe to at jamesclear.com. And, this is a post that James wrote called Overrated versus Underrated, Common Beliefs We Get Wrong. And I think it's a post, if you've been liking these episodes of Primility Primer, this is a post you'll really like because it kind of takes the spectrum idea that we've been talking about. In yesterday's episode, we talked about how Primility is about more than just pride and humility. It's also about balancing selflessness and selfishness and short-term sacrifice for long-term gratification and that kind of thing. And it's interesting, this post kind of looks at things on that spectrum and in a lot of ways talks about how the conventional wisdom of what is good or what is right or what is better is often underrated, and that what is underrated are some of these more uncommon beliefs. And this is one of them. And the post itself is tagged with self-awareness, decision-making, and life lessons, which just from the tags alone kind of suggests that it'd be something relevant for us here at Primility. But the section of the post that I was most interested in for our purposes was this one, the one that is entitled, Overrated, Being the Leader, Underrated, Being a Better Teammate. And I want to actually read you the entire section now. It's not a long post. There are 6 or 7 sections, but it's not a long post. And if you go to the show notes, primility.com/show/037, you can get the link to this post at jamesclear.com. But here's the full quote, and then we'll break it down. "We love status. We want pins and medallions on our jackets. We want power and prestige in our titles. We want to be acknowledged, recognized, and praised. It's too bad all of those make for hollow leaders. Great teams require great teammates. Nowhere is that more true than at the top. No leader ever became worse by thinking about their teammates more." I love this quote. What James is really explaining here is a core concept of primility, because what he's saying in that first part is that a lot of these signals of leadership that I think we have when we have a less mature idea of what leadership is. And I'm speaking from experience here because my own concept of what leadership is has changed so much as I've matured, gained more life experience. And I'm sure it's the same for everybody. But what he's saying here, we want pins and medallions, we want power and prestige, we want to be acknowledged and recognized. A lot of times we look at those as the marks of leadership. And what James is saying here is that those are really hollow marks of leadership, right? And within the context of primility, it's this excess pride, which often manifests itself in conceit and in vanity, that is not good. That is not a mark of true leadership, but is in fact a mark of hollow leadership. But what truly gives a leader true power, right, to really have an influence, to really move people or a project or whatever it is forward, to truly do something that matters, is really humility, kind of in the C.S. Lewis sense of not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less, right? Thinking of others more, that is actually the mark of true leadership. And it's another way of saying servant leadership, right? Not, the leader who just, stands out front and leads from the front, but someone who's there working with people, not just doing it for the vanity, for the recognition, but really doing it because they care about the people that they're working with, care about the people that they're working for, truly care about the project and the goal. And when I was younger, I used to think that, the charisma to stand up in front of a crowd, the ability to make a decision, the ability to be out front is what truly marked great leadership. And as I've gotten older and as I've worked with more people and have had the ability to see in others what truly works when it comes to leadership, and for myself, what truly works when I'm in a leadership role, what actually works, I really have found that this is true, that those quote unquote hallmarks of leaders aren't always actually the markers of great leadership. And I know people that I work with right now at Rainmaker Digital. Kudos to Coffee Blogger Media for the switch over to Rainmaker Digital, now our official name. But two people who come to mind who will probably hate that I'm going to mention them by name here, but Robert Bruce and Kris Garrett are two of the best leaders I've ever had a chance to work with. And they are not the people that are out front. They are not people who seek recognition, who want any of that, but they care about the people that they work with. They deeply care about the projects that they're on. And they're incredible leaders because of that, because they are great teammates first. And that's really how they think of themselves. And they almost would begrudgingly call themselves leaders, and yet they are, because of their example, because of their effort, and just because of their mindset, which is not to work to seek the recognition, but to work to help the entire team grow. We, of course, we see this in sports all the time. And I think we see it in a lot of different places that, again, as James Clear said, the status, the pins, the medallions, the power, the prestige, oftentimes that just makes for hollow leaders. But that true mark of leadership is being the better teammate, focusing on the humility, focusing on the greater good for all. And that's what will eventually help all boats rise. And that truly is the mark of true leadership, unless you're just trying to lead yourself. But the irony there is, if all you care about is yourself, you're probably not going to go very far, because to achieve anything worth achieving, you need help, you need a team. And so that's why I love this quote. And that's the big idea of today's Wisdom Wednesday, is to be a better leader. Think first about being a better teammate. If you haven't been doing that, maybe try that. See if you get different results. My guess is that you probably will. Thank you very much for watching or listening to this episode of Primility Primer. It's always a pleasure to have you here. It's my privilege to talk with you every morning. And we are here every morning, 6:30 Central Time. Go to primility.com/live. You can always watch the live edition of the broadcast, or you can listen on the podcast. And if you don't want to keep up with the daily show, which I know is difficult, go to primility.com/join. Get on our email list, and not only will you get our Monday morning email, it's 250 words or less. It's a short, inspiring post to get your week off on the right foot. You'll also get the Friday digest, which gives you a rundown of all the episodes from the week, the headlines, the description. So if you miss anything, you have another chance to get caught up on any episodes of Primility Primer that are relevant to you. Be back tomorrow with another episode of Thank You Thursday, which is what we always do on Thursday here at Primility Primer. Thanks again for listening. Have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow. Wrist bump.